Eustace Conway has long stood at the center of one of the most unusual modern stories of wilderness living in America. To some, he represents a rare commitment to self-sufficiency and a life stripped of modern excess. To others, he is a controversial figure caught between idealism and the realities of law, media, and contemporary society. His life, shaped by forests, mountains, and hand-built structures, became widely known through storytelling, books, and television. Yet behind the public image lies a more complex narrative, one of ambition, conflict, loss, and persistence. This is not just a story about survival in the woods. It is about a man trying to construct a way of life that challenges conventional ideas of education, safety, and progress. From his early years to the creation of Turtle Island Preserve, from national attention to legal battles, and from deep friendships to profound loss, Conway's journey reflects both the beauty and difficulty of living outside modern systems. Early life and the pull toward the wilderness. Eustace Conway was born in South Carolina into a family deeply rooted in education and outdoor learning. His upbringing was not isolated from nature, rather, it was infused with it. His parents and grandparents were educators who believed that learning extended beyond classrooms and textbooks. This environment shaped his world, early on, planting the idea that knowledge could be gained through experience, physical effort, and direct interaction with the natural world. From a young age, Conway displayed a strong curiosity about survival, movement, and independence. While other children were drawn to structured environments, he gravitated toward forests, rivers, and open land. Canoeing trips, long hikes, and physical challenges were not unusual in his youth. They were formative experiences. These early exposures built the foundation for a life that would eventually diverge sharply from mainstream expectations. By his late teens, Conway felt increasingly disconnected from conventional life. At 17, he made a decisive break from home and began living closer to nature. This transition was not a sudden escape, but rather the culmination of years of growing fascination with wilderness living. It marked the beginning of a lifestyle that would define him for decades to come. Journey across America and the myth of endurance. As Conway developed his skills and philosophy, he undertook ambitious journeys that tested both endurance and perception. Among the most widely discussed was his horseback ride across the United States, a feat that he completed over several months. The journey became part of his personal mythology, symbolizing determination and simplicity in motion. However, public reaction to such claims was mixed. While many admired the effort, others pointed to historical precedents that surpassed it. Stories of the Abernathy Boys, who traveled across the United States in the early 20th century at very young ages, often entered the conversation. Their journeys, completed without modern technology or adult supervision, highlighted how endurance and exploration had long been part of American history. Conway's travels were not about competition or records in his view. Instead, they reflected a personal challenge to live in a way that stripped away comfort and forced direct engagement with the environment. Whether on foot or horseback, the goal was less about achievement and more about understanding what it meant to depend entirely on land, animals, and human resilience. Philosophy of simplicity and self-reliance at the core of Conway's life is a philosophy centered on simplicity, independence, and direct connection to nature. He has often described freedom not as a political abstraction, but as a lived experience, one where a person grows their own food, builds their own shelter, and understands the rhythms of the natural world. This philosophy is not purely theoretical. It is reflected in his daily practices, which emphasize physical labor, outdoor living, and traditional skills. Conway's approach draws comparisons to historical thinkers who questioned industrial society and sought meaning in simpler ways of living. His perspective suggests that modern convenience often comes at the cost of awareness and self-reliance. Yet his philosophy also contains contradictions. While advocating independence from systems, he has also engaged with modern platforms, education programs, and media exposure. This tension between ideals and practical realities has become a defining feature of his public identity, shaping how others interpret his work and life. Mountain Men and the public spotlight. Conway's life reached a wider audience through the television series that showcased individuals living in remote and rugged environments. The show introduced viewers to multiple people across different regions who relied on hunting, farming, and traditional survival skills. For Conway, participation in such a production brought both opportunity and complication. On one hand, it allowed him to share his philosophy with a global audience and support the financial sustainability of his land project. On the other, it placed his private world under constant observation, turning daily routines into public narratives. The presence of cameras altered perception. What had once been a local experiment in education and land stewardship became a symbol of alternative living. Viewers interpreted his lifestyle in different ways, some as inspirational, others as impractical. The visibility intensified both admiration and scrutiny, shaping the next chapter of his life in unexpected ways. Turtle Island Preserve and the vision of living education. One of Conway's most significant achievements is the creation of Turtle Island Preserve, a large tract of land in North Carolina dedicated to experiential learning and traditional living skills. Established in the late 20th century, the preserve became a space where students could learn through direct engagement with nature. The preserve operates as a living classroom. Visitors participate in activities such as farming, building, foraging, and crafting tools using traditional methods. Structures on the land are built with natural materials, often without modern machinery, reflecting Conway's belief in hands-on education. Turtle Island is not merely a retreat. It is a philosophy in practice. It attempts to preserve older forms of knowledge while encouraging people to reconsider their relationship with consumption, technology, and environment. Over time, it has hosted thousands of participants who come seeking a different kind of education, one rooted in physical experience rather than academic theory. Daily life, teaching, and the natural classroom life at Turtle Island is structured around work, observation, and participation. Days often begin with physical labor such as gathering wood, tending animals, or maintaining buildings. These tasks are not viewed as chores, but as essential components of learning. Conway's teaching style emphasizes demonstration over instruction. Instead of explaining abstract concepts, he often shows students how tasks are done, allowing them to learn through repetition and practice. This method reflects his belief that understanding emerges from doing rather than listening alone. The environment itself plays a central role in education. Weather, terrain, and seasonal changes become part of the curriculum. Students are encouraged to observe natural patterns and adapt accordingly. Through this immersive approach, Turtle Island aims to reconnect people with skills and awareness often lost in urban settings. Legal challenges and conflict with authorities. As Turtle Island expanded, it eventually came under scrutiny from local authorities concerned with building codes, safety regulations, and land use compliance. Inspectors reviewed the property and identified numerous structures that did not meet formal requirements. This led to a series of legal challenges and administrative decisions that placed pressure on Conway and the preserve. Authorities presented options ranging from retroactive compliance to removal of certain structures. For Conway, these requirements conflicted with the foundational principles of the project, which prioritized traditional construction methods over modern codes. The situation escalated into a broader debate about the balance between safety regulations and alternative living practices. Supporters of Turtle Island viewed the conflict as a struggle for autonomy, while critics emphasized public safety and regulatory responsibility. The dispute became a symbol of larger tensions between independent lifestyles and institutional frameworks. Lawsuits and personal setbacks. Among the most serious incidents in Turtle Island's history was a legal case involving an accident during an activity demonstration. A visitor was injured during a training exercise, leading to a lawsuit that resulted in financial settlements and prolonged legal proceedings. The case had significant consequences for Conway, both financially and emotionally. It required adjustments to operations and placed additional strain on the preserve's resources. The aftermath highlighted the challenges of running an unconventional educational environment within a regulated legal system. This period marked a turning point in Conway's public narrative. What had once been primarily a story of wilderness living now included courtroom disputes, liability concerns, and administrative oversight. It added complexity to his image as both educator and survivalist. Media influence and public perception. Media coverage played a major role in shaping how Conway was perceived. Books, documentaries, and television appearances presented different interpretations of his life. Some portrayed him as a visionary committed to ecological education, while others emphasized controversy and conflict. Public response was equally divided. Admirers saw him as someone preserving forgotten knowledge and challenging modern dependence on systems. Critics questioned the practicality and safety of his methods. This duality became central to his public identity. The presence of media also influenced Turtle Island itself. Increased attention brought more visitors, funding opportunities, and scrutiny. The balance between education and performance became increasingly difficult to maintain, raising questions about authenticity in public storytelling. Turtle Island's origin, turning land into a living idea. Turtle Island Preserve did not begin as a finished vision. It began as a piece of land and an idea that grew over time through effort, experimentation, and conviction. Eustace Conway saw land not just as property, but as something that could be shaped into a working example of how humans once lived in closer relationship with nature. When he first acquired acreage in North Carolina, it was not about building a retreat or a business in the conventional sense. It was about creating a functioning environment where traditional skills could be practiced, tested, and passed on. Over the years, the preserve expanded into a network of fields, cabins, barns, and learning spaces built largely from natural materials. Every structure reflected a philosophy: use what the land provides, minimize dependence on industrial systems, and learn through doing. The result was not polished or standardized, but intentionally rough and functional. Turtle Island became a place where education and survival were blended into the same daily routine. The idea behind it was also cultural. Conway believed modern life had separated people from basic knowledge how to build shelter, grow food, or understand seasonal rhythms. Turtle Island was meant to reverse that separation, even if only temporarily for visitors. It was less about escaping civilization and more about reintroducing forgotten skills into modern awareness. Mountain men exposure. When private life became public story, the arrival of television coverage marked a turning point in how Eustace Conway's life was perceived. What had once been a relatively local and educational project suddenly became part of a national viewing audience. Through reality television, his daily routines, cutting wood, maintaining land, preparing for seasons, were transformed into narrative episodes designed for public consumption. This exposure changed the dynamics of Turtle Island. The land was no longer just a private educational environment. It became a stage where philosophy and survival were interpreted through editing, narration, and selective storytelling. The presence of cameras meant that everyday actions were reframed as dramatic moments, even when they were simply routine parts of rural life. For Conway, this created a tension between intention and representation. While the goal was to share knowledge and inspire interest in self-reliance, the format of television often emphasized conflict, hardship, and personality over quiet learning. This led to differing public interpretations. Some viewers saw authenticity and inspiration, while others saw performance and simplification. Despite these differences, the exposure significantly increased awareness of Turtle Island. It brought attention, visitors, and resources, but also scrutiny. The balance between education and entertainment became an ongoing challenge that shaped the next phase of his public life. Legal pressures, rules colliding with tradition as Turtle Island grew in visibility and activity. It also came under increasing regulatory attention. Local authorities began reviewing the property in terms of building codes, land use regulations, and safety standards. What they found were structures built through traditional methods that did not align with modern construction requirements. This led to official evaluations, inspections, and ultimately legal pressure. The central issue was not simply whether buildings existed, but whether they met standardized definitions of safety and compliance. For Conway, however, the purpose of these structures was not commercial development, but experiential learning rooted in historical building techniques. This disagreement created a fundamental conflict. Regulatory systems prioritize uniform standards, while Turtle Island operated on adaptive, hands-on construction practices that varied by material, purpose, and skill level. The result was a standoff between institutional rules and alternative educational philosophy. The consequences were serious. Options for compliance included costly modifications, formal certification processes, or removal of structures. Each option threatened the original design of the preserve. The legal challenges, therefore, became not just administrative issues, but existential questions about whether such a place could continue to exist under modern regulatory frameworks. Preston Roberts and the weight of loss, a deeply significant figure in Conway's life, was his longtime friend and collaborator, Preston Roberts. Their partnership was central to the daily functioning of Turtle Island and its educational mission. Roberts was known for his craftsmanship, teaching ability, and steady presence within the community. His passing due to illness was a profound emotional loss for Conway and the broader Turtle Island community. It marked the end of a close partnership that had shaped both the philosophy and operation of the preserve. The absence was felt not only personally but structurally, as Roberts had played a key role in teaching and mentorship. The response to his death included memorial gatherings, tributes, and reflections from those who had worked with him. His influence continued to be felt in the methods and traditions he helped establish at Turtle Island. Legacy, reflection, and continuing questions today. Eustace Conway remains a figure associated with both admiration and debate. His life raises ongoing questions about sustainability, freedom, education, and the meaning of modern progress. Turtle Island Preserve continues to operate, serving as a space for experiential learning and reflection. His story is not easily categorized. It is neither purely inspirational nor entirely controversial. Instead, it exists in the space between ideals and reality, where vision meets limitation. The challenges he faced, legal, personal, and philosophical, reflect broader societal tensions about how people choose to live and learn. Ultimately, Conway's legacy lies in his attempt to build a life outside conventional boundaries. Whether viewed as successful or flawed, his journey continues to provoke discussion about what it means to live in alignment with nature in a modern world. Conclusion: a life between wilderness and modernity, Eustace Conway's story is one of persistence, contradiction, and exploration. From early independence to the creation of Turtle Island, From public attention to legal struggles, and from friendship to loss, his life reflects the complexity of choosing an unconventional path. He remains a symbol of a question that has no simple answer: how much of modern life is necessary, and how much distance can a person truly create from it while still remaining within it? The answer is still unfolding, not only in his life, but in the experiences of those who continue to engage with his ideas.